Hello, Ark Survival Evolved is in potential danger. Let's go over why I think this is coming and what actions you can take to prevent this. As most of us know by now, Snell has been issued a warning for their stocks dropping too low. In a previous video, I go over what that means for ASA, but it has the potential to destroy ASE. But why, and how do we stop it? Well, we could fund Snell 100 million. Yeah? No? Yeah, no. What I'm about to tell you, some may just write off and be like, nah, they would never do that. Well, Wildcard and Snell's past behavior would suggest otherwise. I've covered this topic in detail in past videos, so I'll just summarize here. In the past, when Atlas dropped and the Extinction DLC came out, the feeling coming from Wildcard was that they were tired of Ark and its players and wanted to move on to a new game. Mechanics, items, and dinos were specifically added to Extinction to allow players to destroy bases without having to deal with turrets. In a matter of minutes, a base would be gone. On top of this, we had been told Extinction was the last DLC, and Wildcard's attitude just got worse. So essentially, it felt like they were trying to force players to move on from Ark. Then Atlas basically failed, and suddenly we had new PR people at Wildcard, and they started trying to fix their image and announced more DLCs. Let's fast forward now to the announcement of ASA. Right around the time Wildcard announced ASA, there was a change in their PR tactics, and they started moving toward a more toxic image. Wildcard also started their messages showing their dislike for PvP players, and all but stated, "We don't need you in a community crunch." Not just an opinion on Twitter or Discord, but an official announcement stating that PvP players are only 33% of their player base. On top of all of the other posts and statements leading up to that, and the ones that followed, it was essentially giving the middle finger to PvP players. And let's be honest, the 33% stat is a little bit skewed, because PvP players also play on PvE servers, or play on an unofficial server, which most likely doesn't count as PvP either, in between big battles on their PvP servers, and not to mention, a lot of PvP players buy multiple accounts, whereas PvE players will only buy one. But moving on, we jump ahead, and they turn off ASE official servers. Of course, this was said to be to free up room for ASA servers, but ASA even now is still in early access. Ark Survival Evolved official servers should have stayed on until ASA was out of early access, then reevaluate keeping ASE servers as legacy, or if not enough players, turn them off. But they chose to just shut them down to try and force the PvP player base, the ones they said they didn't need, to buy ASA. A lot of players would have played both, but Wildcard took the choice away. So we start to see the same type of behavior pattern that built up to the Extinction release repeating. Where is all this leading? Well, if we look at the Steam charts, there are more players in ASE, a game that no longer provides much, if any money to Snell, than in ASA, the game a lot of money is being dumped into. Then we have to look at the animated series. While I do not know how much money it made, it didn't seem to have the effect they were hoping for. The hope of the series was to bring in a lot of new players and revitalize the old player base. The timing of the series was just way off, and well, it wasn't that interesting. So Ark didn't get the same type of influx that Cyberpunk did with their series. I could probably spend a whole video going over this, so let's just move on. Okay, so we have established that Wildcard has a pattern, and that ASE still has a potential pool of money sitting in it. Alright, so if we're looking at 23,000 to 30,000 daily players in ASE, that's probably putting us somewhere between 100 to 200,000 active players still. So if selling mods, explorer packs, and dinos does not bring in enough money, and Wildcard starts feeling the pressure, they may decide to launch Ark 2 early. Based on ASA's reception, Ark 2 is unlikely to bring in that many sales if it releases too soon. We shouldn't see Ark 2 until 2028, when the next-gen console comes out. ASA should be a warning for how terrible Ark 2 will run on current consoles and the majority of gaming PCs. But if they're feeling the pressure for money, they may drop it anyway. Keep in mind that Ark 2 is a completely different style of game from Ark, so it's like Atlas all over again. They want to move away from the Ark style of game. But if they feel they can't release Ark 2, or they do release it and it doesn't bring in enough money, then the most likely scenario is that they force ASE players into ASA, or at least they try. Depending on how desperate they become, this could happen soon, or it could happen 6 months to a year down the road. But if they cannot make the money they need, they're going to drop an update for Ark Survival Evolved. The update will of course be advertised as a way to fix issues with Ark Survival Evolved and maybe even be a visual upgrade. But ultimately, what it will do and what will be intended for is to break as many mods as possible. With ASA being discontinued and modding moving to ASA, if they break the ASE mods, it could be a long time, if ever, before modders bother to fix the mods. The update could also introduce bugs that cause game-breaking issues, especially ones that break save files. They of course will fix these bugs right away and apologize, then tell you the fix will work for any new save, but the old saves can't be fixed. Worst case, and the most obvious move, will be to force players over is that they remove server support from Ark Survival Evolved, so it only works single player. This one is less likely because of how obvious it would be, but there is still a chance that this is done. So what can you do to prevent this? Alright, so if you play Ark Survival Evolved through Steam, we're going to show you how to protect yourself. And this will work for any game as well that you use mods for, that you're worried an update in the future will break your mods. Alright, so what you would do is you would find the game. Alright, so Ark Survival Evolved, right click on it, go down to properties. Once this pops up, just go to updates. And then instead of always keep this game updated, only update this game when I launch it. I know we can't actually turn updates off because if an update comes through and you want to play it on Steam, Steam forces you to update before you can play it. But there's a way around this. Alright, so once you've turned it off, only update this game when I launch it. Alright, this way Steam never updates it. And then allow background downloads while I'm playing this game. Go ahead and turn that off as well, just to be safe. Alright, because Steam sometimes finds a way to update your game, which would really suck if that happens. Alright, so once you've done that, you will only want to launch Ark through the Ark exe and not through Steam. Alright, you'll want to make sure before you play Ark that you have completely closed out Steam and it's no longer running on your computer. That way when you launch Ark through its exe, it doesn't actually launch it through Steam. Alright, and then Steam doesn't, at that point, Steam won't do a check for an update. Another way to be careful is before you're playing Ark, let's say you test this out, you turn it off, and for some reason on your system, when you launch from the exe, it still tries to launch Steam. If that's happening, then it will still force an update. How you prevent this then in that case? Alright, so what you would need to do is go to Steam and go to offline and go into offline mode. And now it won't update your game when you try to play it. Alright, this will work for any modded game you have. I know doing this is inconvenient, but it will protect your ability to keep playing Ark Survival Evolved if Wildcard ever pulls the trigger in order to scrape in a little more money for ASA. I like Ark, and Wildcard made Ark, but Wildcard can't be trusted, and their past behavior shows it. I wish this wasn't even in the realm of possibilities, and I hope it never happens. But it's better to be prepared than to lose access to a game you enjoy. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. Have an awesome day.